Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman is a groundbreaking work that delves into the intricate workings of the human mind and the dual processes that govern our thinking: System 1, fast, intuitive, and automatic, and System 2, slow, deliberative, and analytical. Kahneman, a Nobel laureate in economics, uses his extensive research in psychology and behavioral economics to shed light on the biases and heuristics that influence our decision-making and judgment. Kahneman's central message in the book is to highlight the inherent flaws in human thinking. He emphasizes that these flaws, often manifested as cognitive biases and systematic errors, have significant implications for how we make choices, assess probabilities, and perceive the world around us. His intent is not to blame or criticize, but to provide a comprehensive understanding of these cognitive processes so that individuals and institutions can make more informed and rational decisions. Throughout the book, Kahneman presents a plethora of experiments and real-world examples that demonstrate the pervasive impact of cognitive biases, such as anchoring, availability heuristic, and confirmation bias. These biases shape our perceptions, influence our choices, and can lead to suboptimal outcomes. Kahneman suggests that understanding the existence of these biases is the first step towards mitigating their effects and improving decision-making. One of Kahneman's key insights is the distinction between the experiencing self and the remembering self. The experiencing self is focused on the moment-to-moment experiences, while the remembering self is concerned with how we remember and evaluate our past experiences. This differentiation has important implications for understanding happiness and life satisfaction. Kahneman argues that people tend to focus on the remembering self when making choices and that this can lead to suboptimal decisions. This insight encourages readers to reconsider how they assess their own well-being and the well-being of others. Kahneman also discusses the concept of prospect theory, which explains how people evaluate gains and losses in decision-making. He highlights that people tend to be risk-averse when facing potential gains but risk-seeking when confronted with potential losses. This theory has significant implications for understanding economic and financial decision-making. Daniel Kahneman's Thinking, Fast and Slow is a profound exploration of human cognition and the biases that shape our thinking. The author's message is to create awareness about these biases and their impact, ultimately leading to more informed and rational decision-making. Kahneman's work serves as an essential resource for anyone interested in psychology, behavioral economics, and improving decision processes, offering valuable insights into the complexities of human thought and judgment. 7 Lessons Learned from this book. Understanding the two systems of thinking, Kahneman's book introduces the concept of System 1 and System 2 thinking. System 1 is our fast, intuitive, and automatic mode of thinking, while System 2 is the slower, more deliberate and analytical mode. The first lesson is that recognizing the existence of these two systems helps us understand the nature of human thought. System 1 serves us well for quick decisions, but it can also lead to biases. System 2, on the other hand, requires effort but is necessary for more thoughtful and reasoned judgments. Cognitive biases are pervasive. The book underscores the fact that cognitive biases, which are systematic errors in judgment and decision-making, are a fundamental part of human cognition. These biases include anchoring, availability heuristic, confirmation bias, and many others. Understanding these biases is crucial because it can help individuals and organizations identify and mitigate their impact, leading to more rational choices. The influence of heuristics. Kahneman describes various mental shortcuts or heuristics that our brains use to make decisions more efficiently. While heuristics are generally helpful, they can also lead to biased thinking and poor decisions. By recognizing the role of heuristics, we can appreciate how these shortcuts both aid and hinder our problem-solving abilities. Prospect theory and loss aversion. The book introduces the concept of prospect theory, which shows that people tend to evaluate gains and losses differently. Loss aversion, in particular, means that individuals often fear losses more than they desire equivalent gains. This lesson has important implications in various domains, including economics, finance, and decision-making under risk. The experiencing self versus the remembering self. Kahneman's exploration of the experiencing self and the remembering self demonstrates that people don't always make decisions based on their actual experiences. Instead, they often base their decisions on how they remember past events. Recognizing this distinction can lead to a more nuanced understanding of happiness, well-being, and the way people evaluate life choices. Overcoming overconfidence. The book sheds light on the prevalence of overconfidence and how it can lead to flawed decision-making. Kahneman presents evidence that overconfidence is a pervasive bias in human judgment. By acknowledging this, individuals can become more cautious in their assessments, which can lead to better decisions and risk management. Regression to the mean. The book explains the concept of regression to the mean, which is the tendency for extreme events to move towards the average over time. This lesson is particularly relevant in various fields, such as investing, sports, and healthcare, where people often misinterpret random fluctuations as trends or evidence of skill. Understanding regression to the mean can help prevent unwarranted optimism or pessimism. In conclusion, Thinking, Fast and Slow offers a wealth of lessons that challenge our assumptions about human thought and decision-making. These lessons underscore the importance of self-awareness, critical thinking, and a more thoughtful approach to judgment and choice. By internalizing these lessons, individuals can navigate the complexities of human cognition and strive for more rational and informed decisions. Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman is a comprehensive exploration of the human mind and its cognitive processes. The book is organized into several chapters, each covering different aspects of thinking, decision-making, and the cognitive biases that influence our choices. Here's a detailed chapter-wise summary. Chapter 1, The Characters of the Story. In this introductory chapter, Kahneman presents the two main characters of the book, System 1 and System 2. System 1 is the fast, intuitive, and automatic mode of thinking, while System 2 is slower, more deliberate, and analytical. Kahneman highlights that System 1 is prone to biases and can lead to flawed decisions, while System 2 requires effort and is often underused. The chapter sets the stage for understanding the interplay between these two systems in the rest of the book. Chapter 2, Attention and Effort. Kahneman delves into the concept of cognitive ease and cognitive strain. Cognitive ease is when things feel simple and familiar, while cognitive strain involves more effort and concentration. The author introduces the idea that cognitive ease often leads to reliance on System 1, while cognitive strain triggers the engagement of System 2. Kahneman discusses the availability heuristic, where people judge the frequency of an event based on its ease of retrieval from memory. Chapter 3, The Lazy Controller. This chapter explores the relationship between the two thinking systems and their roles in everyday decision-making. Kahneman explains that System 1 often defaults to making quick, intuitive judgments, but System 2 can step in to override these automatic responses. The book highlights that System 2 can be mentally taxing and is often prone to laziness, opting for the path of least cognitive effort. Chapter 4, The Associative Machine. Kahneman discusses how System 1 is an associative machine, making connections between ideas, memories, and concepts. He introduces the concept of priming, where exposure to one stimulus influences a response to a subsequent stimulus. The chapter explores the idea that priming can lead to unintentional and subconscious influence on decisions. Chapter 5, Cognitive Ease. This chapter delves deeper into the notion of cognitive ease and how it can lead to cognitive biases. Kahneman explains that the feeling of ease is often mistaken for truth, and people tend to prefer information and ideas that come to mind easily. The author presents various examples of how cognitive ease can lead to overconfidence and other cognitive biases. Chapter 6, Norms, Surprises, and Causes. Kahneman discusses how people often rely on norms, which are typical or expected values, to make judgments and decisions. He introduces the concept of anchoring, where people's judgments are influenced by arbitrary numbers or values. The chapter explores the impact of the availability heuristic and how people often overestimate the importance of vivid and recent information. Chapter 7, A Machine for Jumping to Conclusions. This chapter focuses on System 1's tendency to jump to conclusions based on limited information. Kahneman discusses the representativeness heuristic, where people make judgments based on how similar something appears to a known category. The chapter also introduces the concept of the base rate fallacy, where people tend to ignore statistical information in favor of individual case information. Chapter 8, How Judgments Happen. Kahneman presents the idea that judgments and decisions often occur automatically and unconsciously, driven by System 1. He discusses the process of substituting a difficult question with an easier one, a common strategy used by System 1. The chapter explores how experts can be influenced by cognitive biases, just like novices. Chapter 9, Answering an Easier Question. Kahneman explains how System 1 often substitutes complex questions with simpler ones that are easier to answer. He introduces the concept of the availability cascade, where public opinion can be swayed by the media's repetitive reporting of certain events. The chapter highlights how people often focus on immediate and emotionally charged information when making judgments. Chapter 10, Overconfidence. Kahneman delves into the pervasive nature of overconfidence, where people tend to believe they know more or are more skilled than they actually are. He presents the idea of the planning fallacy, where people tend to be overly optimistic about the time, costs, and risks of future actions. The chapter discusses the benefits of training and feedback in reducing overconfidence. Chapter 11, Choices. This chapter explores how people make choices and decisions, often driven by preferences and emotions. Kahneman discusses the concept of prospect theory, which explains how people evaluate gains and losses in decision-making. The author introduces the concept of loss aversion, where people fear losses more than they desire equivalent gains. Chapter 12, Two Selves. Kahneman introduces the experiencing self and the remembering self, two facets of our consciousness. He explains how these two selves can have different views of the same experience and how this influences our perception of happiness and well-being. The chapter delves into the idea that people often make decisions based on the remembering self, which can lead to suboptimal choices. Chapter 13, The End. Kahneman discusses the importance of the ending in our memory of experiences. He introduces the concept of the peak-end rule, where people tend to judge experiences based on their most intense moments and how they end. The chapter explores how this rule can influence the way we make choices about future experiences. Chapter 14, Happiness. In this chapter, Kahneman discusses the complexities of happiness and how it is evaluated by the remembering self. He highlights that people often confuse life satisfaction with moment-to-moment happiness. The chapter also explores the impact of duration neglect, where the length of an experience is often ignored when assessing its value. Chapter 15, The Reversal of Preferences. Kahneman presents the concept of prospect theory and how it can lead to a reversal of preferences in different contexts. He explains how people can be risk-averse when faced with potential gains but risk-seeking when confronted with potential losses. The chapter explores the implications of these reversals for economics, finance, and decision-making under risk. Chapter 16, Choices, Values, and Frames. Kahneman discusses how the framing of decisions can significantly impact choices. He introduces the concept of prospect theory and how people often react differently to the same situation depending on how it is presented. The chapter explores the idea that decision-making is heavily influenced by the way options are framed and that people are often risk-averse in the domain of gains but risk-seeking in the domain of losses. Chapter 17, 69. Overconfidence. In this chapter, Kahneman addresses the problem of overconfidence in decision-making and expert judgment. He discusses various experiments and studies that highlight the overconfidence of professionals, such as stock pickers and physicians. Kahneman emphasizes the need for feedback and accountability to counteract overconfidence and improve decision-making. Chapter 18, Choices and Values. The chapter explores how people's choices and values can be influenced by different frames and contexts. Kahneman discusses how the same options presented in different ways can lead to different choices. He introduces the concept of prospect theory and the role of reference points in decision-making. Chapter 19, Two Selves. Kahneman revisits the concept of the experiencing self and the remembering self. He emphasizes that people often make decisions based on the remembering self's perspective and how this can lead to suboptimal choices. The chapter discusses the importance of recognizing these two selves and their influence on decision-making. Chapter 20, Life as a Story. Kahneman explores the idea that people construct narratives to make sense of their lives. He discusses the concept of the duration neglect, where the length of an experience is often ignored when assessing its value. The chapter highlights the role of storytelling in shaping our perceptions of our own lives and well-being. Chapter 21, Experienced Well-being. This chapter delves into the concept of experienced well-being, which is based on moment-to-moment experiences. Kahneman emphasizes that people often make decisions based on the remembering self's evaluation of past experiences. The chapter discusses the factors that influence experienced well-being, including the intensity of positive and negative moments. Chapter 22, Thinking About Life. Kahneman explores the complexities of thinking about life and well-being. He discusses the tension between the experiencing self and the remembering self and how they perceive well-being differently. The chapter highlights that understanding this tension can lead to a more nuanced perspective on happiness and decision-making. Chapter 23, Prospective Hindsight. The chapter introduces the concept of prospective hindsight, where people imagine themselves in the future looking back on their decisions. Kahneman discusses the benefits of using this technique to improve decision-making by considering how a decision will be evaluated in hindsight. He also emphasizes the importance of learning from past mistakes and successes. Chapter 24, The End. Kahneman discusses the significance of endings in shaping our memories of experiences. He introduces the peak-end rule, where people judge experiences based on their most intense moments and how they end. The chapter explores the implications of this rule for understanding the way people make choices about future experiences. Chapter 25, The Varieties of Uncertainty. This chapter explores the different types of uncertainty that people encounter in decision-making. Kahneman discusses the distinctions between risk, ambiguity, and ignorance and how they influence choices. The chapter emphasizes that people often struggle with ambiguity and that they tend to avoid situations with unknown probabilities. Chapter 26, Risk Policies. Kahneman discusses how different organizations and individuals have varying risk policies. He explores the concept of bounded rationality, where people have limited cognitive resources to make decisions. The chapter highlights the importance of risk management and the role of intuition in decision-making. Chapter 27, Keeping Score. In this chapter, Kahneman explores the concept of keeping score in various aspects of life, including relationships, work, and sports. He discusses how keeping score can influence behavior and decision-making. The chapter emphasizes the value of feedback and accountability in improving performance. Chapter 28, Reversals of Preference. Kahneman presents a variety of experiments and studies that highlight the phenomenon of preference reversal in decision-making. He discusses how the framing of a choice can lead to different preferences and choices. The chapter emphasizes the importance of recognizing these reversals and the role of reference points in decision-making. Chapter 29, Frames and Reality. Kahneman discusses the idea that the way information is framed can significantly influence people's choices and decisions. He introduces the concept of prospect theory and the role of frames in shaping preferences. The chapter explores how the same options presented in different ways can lead to different choices. Chapter 30, Rare Events. This chapter focuses on the challenges of dealing with rare events and extreme outcomes in decision-making. Kahneman discusses the concept of the law of small numbers, where people tend to make generalizations based on limited information. The chapter highlights the importance of recognizing the limitations of data when assessing the likelihood of rare events. Chapter 31, Risk and Risk Aversion. Kahneman explores the complexities of risk and risk aversion in decision-making. He discusses the concept of prospect theory and how people are often risk-averse in the domain of gains but risk-seeking in the domain of losses. The chapter emphasizes the need for a better understanding of risk and the framing of choices. Chapter 32, Keeping Score. This chapter delves into the idea of keeping score in various domains, including economics, sports, and personal relationships. Kahneman discusses the role of feedback and accountability in improving performance. The chapter highlights the importance of recognizing and addressing biases in evaluating success and failure. Chapter 33, Risk Policies. Kahneman discusses how organizations and individuals have different risk policies that influence decision-making. He emphasizes the concept of bounded rationality, where people have limited cognitive resources to make decisions. The chapter explores the challenges of making decisions under uncertainty and the role of intuition in risk management. Chapter 34, Rationality. This chapter reflects on the notion of rationality and how human decision-making often deviates from traditional notions of rational behavior. Kahneman discusses the concept of prospect theory and how it provides a more accurate description of human decision-making. The chapter emphasizes that understanding cognitive biases is essential for improving decision-making and achieving better outcomes. Chapter 35, Prospect Theory. Kahneman summarizes the key concepts of prospect theory and its implications for decision-making under risk and uncertainty. He discusses the importance of recognizing the impact of framing, reference points, and loss aversion on choices. The chapter underscores that prospect theory provides a more realistic model of decision-making than traditional economic theories. Chapter 36, Rare Events. This chapter explores the challenges of dealing with rare events and the limitations of relying on small samples of data. Kahneman discusses the concept of the law of small numbers and how it leads to errors in assessing the likelihood of rare events. The chapter emphasizes the need for a better understanding of probability and a cautious approach to decisions involving rare events. Chapter 37, Hindsight. Kahneman discusses the pitfalls of hindsight bias, where people tend to believe that past events were more predictable than they actually were. He explores the concept of prospective hindsight, where people imagine themselves in the future looking back on their decisions. The chapter highlights the value of learning from past mistakes and improving decision-making by considering alternative scenarios. Chapter 38, Overconfidence. The chapter revisits the problem of overconfidence in decision-making and expert judgment. Kahneman presents a range of experiments and studies that illustrate the overconfidence of professionals in various fields. He emphasizes the importance of feedback, accountability, and a systematic approach to reducing overconfidence. Chapter 39, Choices and Illusions. This chapter explores how people often make choices and judgments based on illusions and cognitive biases. Kahneman discusses the impact of cognitive biases, such as the anchoring effect and confirmation bias, on decision-making. The chapter underscores the need for a critical and analytical approach to choices to avoid falling prey to illusions. Chapter 40, Two Selves. Kahneman revisits the concept of the experiencing self and the remembering self and how they influence decisions. He discusses how people often make choices based on the remembering self's perspective, which can lead to suboptimal decisions. The chapter emphasizes the importance of recognizing these two selves. If you've found this book summary of Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman intriguing and thought-provoking, you'll likely find the full book even more enlightening. It's a profound journey into the inner workings of the human mind, offering valuable insights into our thinking processes, decision-making, and the biases that shape our choices. To delve deeper into this captivating exploration of cognition and decision-making, I encourage you to consider purchasing the book through the link provided in the description. It's a must-read for anyone interested in psychology, behavioral economics, and improving their decision-making skills. If you've appreciated this book summary and found it informative, please consider giving it a like and sharing it with your friends and colleagues. Sharing knowledge is a wonderful way to enrich our collective understanding. To stay updated with more book summaries in this category and discover more insightful reads, make sure to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll be the first to access new summaries that can broaden your horizons and help you gain a deeper understanding of various topics. Thank you for your support, and happy reading. What sets Thinking, Fast and Slow apart from other books in the same genre or category is its unique combination of Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman's groundbreaking research in psychology and behavioral economics, along with his compelling storytelling that makes complex concepts accessible to a wide audience. Here are some specific examples and quotes from the book that illustrate the points made. Deep insights into human cognition. Kahneman's extensive research, including his collaboration with Amos Tversky, has resulted in profound insights into human cognition. For instance, he introduces the concept of System 1 and System 2 thinking, stating, System 1 operates automatically and quickly, with little or no effort and no sense of voluntary control. System 2 allocates attention to the effortful mental activities that demand it. Experimental evidence. The book is replete with examples of real-world experiments that demonstrate cognitive biases. For instance, the concept of anchoring is illustrated through experiments where participants' judgments were significantly influenced by arbitrary numbers. As Kahneman writes, the mere existence of an irrelevant number has the effect of anchoring higher judgments. Engaging narratives. Kahneman's storytelling skills make the book accessible and engaging. He uses anecdotes and personal experiences to illustrate his points. For example, he tells the story of his experience in the Israeli Air Force, demonstrating the concept of hindsight bias when discussing the evaluation of fighter pilots' performance. Practical applications. The book goes beyond theory and provides practical insights into how individuals and organizations can improve their decision-making. Kahneman discusses ways to mitigate cognitive biases, such as using checklists in medicine and improving decision quality in businesses. Unique perspective on well-being. Kahneman's distinction between the experiencing self and the remembering self offers a unique perspective on happiness and well-being. He writes, "The experiencing self does not have a voice. The remembering self is sometimes wrong, but it is the one that keeps score and governs what we learn from living, and it is the one that makes decisions." Thinking, Fast and Slow stands out in its genre due to its combination of rigorous research, compelling storytelling, practical applications, and unique insights into human cognition and well-being. It offers a holistic and accessible approach to understanding decision-making and cognitive biases that is unparalleled in the field of psychology and behavioral economics. Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman is a standout in the genre of psychology, behavioral economics, and decision-making, and it shares some commonalities with other works in the field while also possessing unique qualities that set it apart. Comparisons with other works in the genre. Similarities with Predictably Irrational by Daniel Kahneman. Both Thinking, Fast and Slow and Predictably Irrational by Daniel Kahneman delve into the world of human irrationality and cognitive biases. They explore the quirks of human decision-making and the various heuristics that influence our choices. However, while Kahneman's book is highly accessible and focuses on engaging experiments, Kahneman's work is more comprehensive, based on decades of groundbreaking research. Complementary Perspective with Nudge by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein. Nudge also deals with behavioral economics and decision-making, but it offers a different angle by focusing on how policies and environments can be designed to help people make better choices. Kahneman's book complements this perspective by providing a deep understanding of the cognitive processes that influence our decisions. What makes Thinking, Fast and Slow unique? Nobel laureate's authorship. One of the most distinctive aspects of this book is that it's authored by Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel laureate in economics. This fact alone lends a significant level of credibility and authority to the work, as Kahneman's contributions to the field are widely recognized and respected. Comprehensive and in-depth. While other books offer valuable insights into specific aspects of human behavior and decision-making, Thinking, Fast and Slow is comprehensive and delves deeply into the topic. It covers a wide range of cognitive biases, thinking processes, and their implications, making it a more thorough exploration of the subject. Academic rigor. The book is rooted in extensive research and academic rigor. It presents a wealth of experiments and studies conducted by Kahneman and his colleagues, which adds to its authority and credibility. The Dual Process Model. Kahneman's introduction of the Dual Process Model, System 1 and System 2 thinking, is a distinctive feature. It provides a framework for understanding human cognition that serves as a foundation for the book's discussions and sets it apart from other works. Emphasis on real-world applications. Thinking, Fast and Slow not only explores cognitive biases but also emphasizes their practical applications in areas like medicine, finance, and decision-making within organizations. This practical dimension is a unique strength of the book. While Thinking, Fast and Slow shares common ground with other works in the field of psychology and behavioral economics, its uniqueness lies in its author's prestige, its academic rigor, its comprehensive approach to the topic, and its emphasis on practical applications of the insights it provides. It serves as a foundational text that continues to be influential in the study of human decision-making. Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman is appealing and relevant to a broad range of listeners due to the universal nature of its subject matter, human thinking, decision-making, and cognitive biases. Here are some key reasons why this book is appealing and relevant to listeners across various life stages, challenges, and aspirations. Decision-making in everyday life. Regardless of one's life stage or circumstances, everyone faces decisions on a daily basis. Whether it's choosing a career, making financial decisions, or even deciding what to eat for dinner, the book offers valuable insights into how we make choices and how to make better ones. Professional growth and leadership. For those aiming to advance in their careers or take on leadership roles, understanding the cognitive biases that influence decision-making is essential. Kahneman's work provides critical knowledge that can improve decision quality in professional contexts. Investing and financial planning. The book is highly relevant for those interested in managing their finances and investments. It addresses the biases that can lead to suboptimal financial decisions and offers guidance on mitigating them. Healthcare and wellness. Whether you're a healthcare professional, a patient, or simply someone interested in making informed health decisions. Thinking Fast and Slow discusses how cognitive biases can affect medical judgments and patient choices, making it relevant to health and wellness concerns. Parenting and Education Understanding the cognitive processes that underlie learning and decision-making is relevant to parents, educators, and anyone involved in guiding and supporting children's development. Psychology and Self-Improvement The book appeals to those with a general interest in psychology and self-improvement. It offers valuable tools for self-awareness and personal growth, helping individuals make better decisions and overcome cognitive biases. Entrepreneurship and Innovation Entrepreneurs and innovators can benefit from the book's insights into risk-taking, decision-making under uncertainty, and problem-solving. These skills are crucial in the world of business and innovation. Aging and Retirement Planning As people age, they often face complex decisions related to retirement, healthcare, and financial planning. The book's discussions on framing, risk perception, and the impact of emotions on choices can be particularly relevant during this life stage. Academic and Intellectual Pursuits Students, researchers, and those pursuing intellectual challenges can find the book appealing. Its academic rigor and depth make it suitable for those who wish to explore cognitive psychology and behavioral economics in detail. Philosophical and Ethical Considerations The book touches on profound philosophical and ethical questions about the nature of human decision-making, rationality, and the role of emotions in choices. It appeals to those interested in these deeper aspects of life and decision-making. Thinking Fast and Slow is relevant and appealing to a wide audience, as it addresses the fundamental processes of human thinking and decision-making that impact nearly every aspect of our lives. Whether you're navigating professional challenges, seeking personal growth, or simply curious about the workings of the mind, this book offers valuable insights that can enhance your decision-making skills and understanding of the human experience. Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman is a book of profound significance and lasting impact. It has become a cornerstone in the fields of psychology, behavioral economics, and decision science. The book's exploration of human cognition and the biases that shape our thinking has not only transformed the way we understand decision-making but has also influenced various aspects of our personal and professional lives. Kahneman's dual process model, distinguishing between System 1 and System 2 thinking, has provided a framework that offers us a deeper understanding of the choices we make, the judgments we form, and the ways we perceive the world. By shedding light on the systematic errors in our thinking, he has given us the tools to recognize and mitigate cognitive biases, ultimately empowering us to make more rational and informed decisions. The impact of this book extends across diverse life stages, from guiding career decisions to improving financial choices, enhancing healthcare judgments, and contributing to personal growth and self-awareness. It has implications for professionals, students, parents, and leaders alike, making it relevant to a wide audience with diverse aspirations and challenges. Kahneman's work is a testament to the enduring power of ideas and the profound impact that a deeper understanding of human thought processes can have on our lives. Thinking Fast and Slow invites us to embark on a journey of self-discovery and improved decision-making. It encourages us to question the assumptions we make and embrace a more thoughtful and deliberate approach to navigating the complexities of our world. In doing so, it has left an indelible mark on the way we think, choose, and live our lives. Of course, gathering feedback is a valuable step to ensure the quality and effectiveness of the content. If you have any feedback or suggestions regarding the book summary and the way it was presented, please feel free to share them. Your input is greatly appreciated and will help me refine my approach and provide even better summaries in the future. Your perspective matters, and I'm here to ensure that the content meets your expectations and serves your needs.